welcome to this episode of the story. Subscribe as soon as possible. The Dusk of Atlantis, Chapter 15. The Memory Plague, the true cause of the Black Death. In the port of Venice in 1347, rotting memory residues washed ashore with the tide. Aiden's pendant suddenly buzzed, and the blood-written word Delta Omega Geomicron Nu on her hand was so hot that it almost burned through her skin. She soul-traveled into the perspective of a plague doctor and saw black memory fluid being discharged from the church's memory furnace into the canal. The doctor, wearing a beak-shaped mask, was wiping the lenses with sage, not an ordinary herb, but an Atlantean memory purification formula. This is not a natural disaster. It's the church's memory weapon, Raven's voice came from behind. His scarf fluttered in the fetid air, revealing a newly added burn scar. The memory plague in 1348 was a carnival of death created by the church using the exhaust from the memory furnace. Aiden clenched the pendant. The moment the judgment mode was activated, the water surface of the port reflected the real scene. Church members were throwing the memory fragments of rebels into the furnace. When the black smoke rose, it turned into countless screaming faces. And the memories of those who were declared unclean by the church were being harvested to reinforce the cracks in the star chart. Look at this. Raven adjusted the surveillance in the memory graveyard and pointed to a memory storage tank that was condensing. This writer named Boccaccio hid the truth in the Decameron. The church's purification ceremony is actually a memory harvesting ceremony. Aiden touched the storage tank, and the streets of Florence emerged in the blue memory, like tears. The church's memory reapers, wearing black robes embroidered with gear emblems, used memory scythes to cut open the heads of the infected and extract their fear memories in their last moments. Those screaming soul fragments were being transported through pipes to the memory furnace in St. Peter's Basilica. They're creating a fear resonance. Raven's feather fell onto the water, creating ripples. The fear memories of each deceased person will be refined into essence of sin to intimidate the survivors into obeying the church. The scene switched to Rome. Leah de Montfort was assisting the church in designing the false memories of the plague saints. Her memory thread wings were hidden under the nun's habit, and the baby silhouettes at the ends of the threads absorbed the fear energy. In her pupils was reflected the memory cage of her daughter. The girl, transformed into a pure soul by the church, was watching everything through the cracks in the star chart. When people fall into collective fear, Leah whispered to the crystal ball, her fingertips gliding across the memory projection of her daughter. The harvesting efficiency of the star chart will increase by 300%. The gear tattoo peeking out from her cuff faintly resonated with the Archbishop's number 047 of the church, a detail that made Aiden shiver. In the memory graveyard in London, Aiden touched the Millennium movie ticket stub through the memory hearse, but the sound of the countdown was mixed with the bells of 1348. She saw the star guardians marking the deceased infected with the memory plague with the raven totem. Those marks were not for mourning, but memory barriers to prevent the church from harvesting. The memories of these deceased have not been harvested. Raven pointed to the memory fragments piled up in the hearse. Before their death, they broke through the church's memory blockade and saw the cracks in the star chart. He picked up a charred manuscript with Atlantean script written on it. When the church claims that the plague is a punishment, ask them why they wear memory. Proof masks. Aiden soul-traveled into the perspective of the plague doctor John Kraft and watched him fill the beak-shaped mask with memory-purifying herbs. Suddenly, church spies broke in, and a memory scythe pierced his abdomen. But before he died, he saw the star, chart tattoo hidden behind the doctor's lenses, the same totem as Aiden's pendant. They're afraid we'll remember. Kraft coughed up blood, stained memory fragments. Afraid we'll recall the truth that the Queen of Atlantis healed the wounds with the fountain of memory. The scene changed to the memory cathedral. The Archbishop injected fear memories into the eternal fire, and blue memory, like tears, seeped from the empty smiles of the believers. Aiden noticed that in the flames floated the memory feathers of Raven's wife, a trap set by the church to lure the rebels. Leah is waiting for you. Raven suddenly put his hand on her shoulder. All the feathers on his scarf fell, revealing his entire burned shoulder. Her daughter is at the core of the memory furnace, and the church is about to activate a new harvesting program using the genes of your clone. Aiden's pendant vibrated violently, and the Queen's memories erupted like a volcano. Before Atlantis sank, the Queen split her consciousness into 12 parts and sealed them in the Zodiac, and Aiden's pendant was the key to the memory cage of Ares. They used the Black Death to test the efficiency of the memory weapon. Raven handed her a church secret file. Now it's our turn to fight back with fear. In the file was a crumpled prescription, written with Memory Purification Agent Formula, Sage plus Lavender plus Clone Blood. In the church's memory laboratory, Leah looked at the perfect souls in the incubators. Those clones cultivated with her daughter's genes all had the same No 79 mark on the nape of the neck as Aiden. She gently stroked the forehead of one of the babies, and her memory threads pierced its dream, implanting the scene of the church's massacre. Mom will come soon, her voice mixed with the roar of the memory furnace. When you see their truth clearly, we'll burn this false star chart to the ground together. Aiden woke up in the memory graveyard, finding herself holding Kraft's beak-shaped mask. On the inside of the mask was engraved the distress signal of Atlantis, and Raven was using his wife's memory feathers to repair the memory circuit of the hearse. In the distance, the church's memory guards were approaching along the tracking signal of the pendant. It's time to go to London. Raven embedded the last feather into the hearse. The exhaust outlet of the memory furnace holds the key to opening the cracks in the star chart. As he turned around, Aiden saw that the burn scar on his back exactly coincided with the battle tattoo of the Queen of Atlantis. Leah stood on top of the memory furnace, looking at the crowd below like ants. For the first time, her memory threads were not hidden. Each thread was wrapped around the church's memory lies. When she cut her palm and her blood drew the Atlantean destruction rune on the gear, her daughter's voice came from the cracks in the star chart. Mom, what are you doing? I'm teaching the world to recognize lies. Leah smiled and spread her wings. The baby silhouettes at the ends of the threads turned into blades of revenge. And you will be the first drop of blood to pierce this hypocritical sky. This episode ends here. The next episode will be even more exciting. Come and subscribe.